You were implementing Bresenham for a prototype a month ago. Is it game music? Yeah, this is... So what we did was we had the audio guys put in some music for all the levels that don't have real music yet. So this is like the default that plays. So we can play test the game and stuff, and it'll be more like it'll actually be in the final. Except we still don't have placeholder sound effects yet. It's probably better from this perspective. WTF. Okay. All right, is that the right place? Yes. Okay, we'll record this. Oh, whoops. Timed record this. I hope that's the right square. It's not. LOL. Okay. Cool. Also turn down the gravity to make it a bit less spammy. Actually, I raised the height of the square to... It's still a little weird feeling because the game blocks player movement until after the teleported block falls one in accordance with other movement rules. Okay, so that was just a thing I wanted to do. It's not about RAM and CPU. If you can't have a high-end graphics card, you can't really do good game development, honestly, right now. If it's a graphically intensive game. That said, companies are exempt, I think. I don't know. Thoughts on projective geometric algebra? Every time I look at projective geometric algebra, I kind of throw up in my mouth a little bit, but I might be wrong. So here's the thing. The thing that I like about geometric algebra is the fact that when you do the linear version, it's very simple. It's very clean and understandable. And all these great things, right? But then once you do stuff like bring in the point at infinity and whatever, there's like all these extra rules or things to remember, or like they just don't come out as clean. And it seems to me to be throwing away a thing that's really good about geometric algebra by doing all that stuff. That said, it might just be that I'm not used to it, and it would seem simpler if I was used to it. You know, I've been wrong about these things. So like back when I was in high school and doing physics and stuff, I always hated things that had oscillations and, you know, sine functions in them and stuff. And I liked things that didn't, right? And like, that's not really a useful perspective. So this could be like that. I don't know. Design it well and the open source community will begin to use it. That's false. Almost everything open source uses is garbage. So it really doesn't have much to do with quality. Anyway, so that was one of the things I wanted to do today. Let me check that in. Okay. $500 million on marketing Java. Well, it kind of worked. Java sort of became the most popular programming language in the world for a while. Most languages are open sourced. I don't fucking care. I'm so sick of the way things are done right now. It's so bad. that like saying the way most things are done, I seriously do not care. I mean, we'll probably make the source available at some point because there are reasons to do that, but like, I don't. Ugh. Ugh. Would still be the most popular if you didn't move the JVM into the browser. I mean, I don't know. Okay, let me get out my notebook. Wait. I don't need my notebook. I remember now what I was going to do next. I don't remember the name of the level, though. The level was called Skipping Near Beams, and there were a few different problems in it. Okay. This level has some issues. I'm actually not sure why we can see these particles here. They're supposed to get depth fogged out. Is it just the water is not opaque enough? Why do I not see my highlight? That's weird. Okay. Murkiness 3, 5. Why is this murkiness not doing anything? Oh, because the deep color is oh no. Hold on. What happened here? So this ocean, oh, that's why, because it's one giant quad. If I edit the murkiness here, that actually works. Why? And why not on the other one? Because all the other things are the same. Is it because there's multiple oceans? Aha. Oh, interesting. It's kind of getting it from the other ocean. That's a little weird, but okay. Why didn't that fix this? I thought that would murk out these particles from being visible. We'll worry about it later. What I want to do right now is get rid of some more serious problems, such as happen later on in this level. Oh, I guess it was here. So I go here, I get on the thing, and it's like, and then I get off. And then I get off. Okay, whoops. Let's, wait, what's going on? I don't know if I like the timing there. I didn't have that hard of a time last time. Ah. So here, I ride this up, and I go ding, dong. Whoops. And then here is where I'm stuck. But actually, before this, there was a different bug that I wanted to try to repro. But the rock is not being funny, so that's weird. Anyway, this part I don't know how to solve. I don't know what to do about this. So, but actually, I guess the bug that I want to solve doesn't have anything to do with correctly solving it. So I was doing this. And now if I undo, oh, I guess I have to wait a little further. So if I undo, I drown right there. And I'm not sure why. So let me just save this level for a second. Even though that didn't help to tweak the murkiness. Then I'm just gonna, actually, if I reset the level, oh no, it puts us back here. Okay. I'm just gonna move the character over here, and we just won't check that in. So I don't know. So if we go around the corner, no? How do I know how long before it does a checkpoint? That time it didn't do it. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not enough. One, two. See, that's weird. Now I'm not getting it. Now I'm not getting it. Why do I use Windows? Because. Holy shit. Do I have any recommendations for tea? I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of tea. It really depends on what kind of thing you like. Why Why is this recording sometimes and not other times? I need to be able to repro this situation. Does it have to do with the rock being there? That makes it different somehow? Let's see. Oh, look, now the rock is messed up. See that rotation that the rock is doing? Like, why did that happen? Why did it rotate to begin with? That was a linear push. It shouldn't have rotated to begin with. Anyway, so I don't think the rock has to do with whether this happens or not right here. I don't know. Anyway. So there it's like I barely missed. I barely missed the check. Like it automatically checkpoints when you're writing on lilies. Well, I don't know how to make it. This is going to be hard to repro. Okay, let's do the thing that we can repro. Which is the rock push. Okay, there it didn't. There it didn't. There it didn't. I see. Okay. So it's if we push it before the lily is in that square. Yeah, okay. So there's a function that's like, are we going to start this stone skipping? And it tests whether we're pushing something onto the water. And this thing sees that we're pushing something onto the water, but it doesn't see that actually the lily is also going to be there. Now, I think we have that information available to us. However, we're not availing ourselves of it. Is there some sort of sitting on lily property? I mean, there's a who am I supported by, but that shouldn't really come into play here, actually. Shouldn't be necessary. What framework is this? It's a framework called Yo Mama. It's Yo Mama's big hefty framework. It's like heavy modular frames from Satisfactory. Okay, so first let's find the thing that sets this. Yeah, it's probably here. This variable is called skip turning, right? And we say, okay, if we're moving on to water, etc. Now the question is, oh, shizzle. The problem is okay. See, we're not doing this transactionally. We're setting this property and fudge. Okay, so the deal is, if this transaction doesn't commit, right? Like if it rolls back and stuff, then we set properties on the rock, right? And then they don't actually apply, but they don't get rolled back because they're not part of the transaction. All this stuff is how would I say it? All this stuff is, I was supposed to do a sweep for all kinds of things of this sort and like factor them together and stuff. Or we might do some of that tonight. Some of this like transaction correctness. It's just, I guess I didn't think about that for this particular case. So most of this we could just move where it happens. We could only do it when a player move transaction is committed. However, I'm not sure what this does, and this might ruin it. So let's see. And while I do this, okay, here's what we're going to do. Because if we're going to start editing the transaction code, we can make changes that might break a bunch of levels. So I want to run the Benny test, which means I actually want to revert this thing that I did for now. Okay. So we're going to do a Benny test and get a list of all the levels that are not currently passing. And then we'll compare that after I make these changes. So we're just going to let that go in the background while we do other things. Okay. So what does this do? Start, skip, turning, while, etc. Okay. It is not doing anything that has to happen inside there. So this whole thing could happen later. Okay. But the problem is we don't want to do this to any rock move. We only want to do this to rocks that are being pushed. And I guess we can look at manipulator ID. But let's make a flag. Let's put a flag on the single move. Single move. Flags. Actually, all this stuff is okay, so this is actually a 2. I don't know where to put it. We just got, okay. Okay, so run being pushed hook. Boom. Now, single dot flags, run being pushed hook. Okay, this here, we're going to have a function called run being pushed hook so Emacs is barfing. We can't handle code that's in comments. Okay. So we will do this. Make player move transaction. Close transaction. Oh, for activate. Take or drop. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Oh, we are still doing this. We could use debug build to make sure we compile though. Oh, it's finished. What a good timing. Okay. 32 levels failed. That's about what we expected. So, whoops. It's the wrong to do. That's our current list of fails. And let's replace this garbo string. Okay. Great. Is there a reason I don't use references? I do use references in very rare cases. I almost never use writable references because holy shit, those are stupid. Almost never. I still use them sometimes because I am also stupid sometimes. What is this? I'm 12. Could I explain why? Because how the fuck are you supposed to know when you're reading a line of code that calls a function? How the fuck are you supposed to know if any of those values are the same after the function call or not from reading that program text? Like, how do you know what that function can change and what it can't change? Which is a very important thing. It's C++ has made a lot of mistakes, but that's one of the more substantial ones because it's not quite as bad as exception handling, but it's not that far off. And it's the same character of problem, which is in order to do something that seems neat and seems useful in some limited contexts, you degrade your ability to understand and have high morale in the entire program, everywhere, all the time. Very bad trade-off. Very bad trade-off. Any advice for getting into this field? Get good. If you get good, you will go far. If you don't get good, then nothing more need be said. Okay, so Yeah, there is no... For some reason, a long time ago, I decided to scope this locally to move transaction, and I use it a lot more generally than that. Let's do this. Yeah, we could bring this all the way out. I don't know. Okay. 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 Whoops. So now, of course, I have to redo my thing. I don't know why I just didn't leave the player there. Oh, because the rock was already, yeah. Well, we might have been able to undo that. Okay, so here we go. Hey, it worked. The problem was when I pushed the rock on early. It neither rotates nor keeps doing its zombie rotate. So that's great. That is great. Now we just have to run Benny test across the whole game again. Okay, but now it's interesting. That actually does do what I wanted in a certain way. Like when I push that rock, now I have two lily pads that are one apart. And then when it goes down, it would teleport me into the right place. I don't know how to solve this puzzle. Seems very difficult. Did the character just die? The character is in a better place. Let's put it that way. She has gone far away. Far away. That's the music. I don't know what that's the music is supposed to mean. Somebody tell me what I'm supposed to do here. I can't do this. That's not very good. Okay, that was very messed up. I don't know what was happening there. Like, WTF was that? Is it because the rock rotated while being on the lily, but we're not like picking up its rotation? Yeah, that might have something to do with... There's like a few different messed up things happening here. I am not sure. We're going to have to work on this a little. Yeah, it flips instantly when I push it, and then some more messed up things are happening later. Let's work on the first thing, the flipping when I push it. And then also, like, just the undo sliding me into the square and all that. Like, it's time to start. We're not doing, like, final polish for shipping yet, but we're doing, like, let's start fixing all the things that seem a little too broken, right? Okay, so that thing that's happening there. We will fix, but not until after we run another Benny test to make sure we didn't frickin' break anything in the rest of the game, which we may have done. Because if I do both changes and then something's broken, I don't know which change broke it, and etc. Yeah. I don't know how to solve this puzzle, guys. Like, for real, though. Oh, shoot. I almost... No, I don't know. I almost kind of know. What does a pink beam do? It teleports you to the end of it in the direction that you move. So, like, if I'm moving north, it'll teleport me to the north end. If I'm moving south, it'll teleport me to the south end. Okay, one thing at a time. Let's remake a release build and we'll Benny it again. There is definitely some stuff about things riding on other things not being at the right rotation, like through the game. And so if I fix that, it's quite possible that that will fix a bug that some replays depend on, or it's possible that it'll break some things that are hard to tell what's broken. So, like, that is a whole situation. Does it teleport you to the next lily just before the gem? Yes, it does. Can you step either east or south at that point? No. Wait, why can't she go south? Oh, she can't go south. So the problem is we could run debug build again here for a second. So the cute thing about this level is, okay, if I'm here, right, I get teleported down there. Oh shit, I could do that. Oh God, I'm stupid, guys. I kept thinking that it had to have something to do with the rock. And it sort of does. Okay, here's the thing. I was thinking that it had to do with you have to get on the other side of the rock. But it's not that you have to use the rock from the other side. It's just that you need to... Or maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just the rock leaves either way. Okay, never mind. And I already solved this part earlier today, so I'm cool. See, that was actually pretty easy, and I just didn't... My brain didn't brain. Okay. Benny test. The Arkham Stone, what? Imagine people playing this, they will rage so much. Well, here's the thing, though. There's going to be some puzzles that are pretty hard. We will do our best to give people a lot of alternatives to go and other things to go do and think about and make progress on if they're stuck, right? Like we did in The Witness, but even more so because there's more stuff in this game. And the thing about this game is it is really... I don't know how to put what it is. It's going to be the biggest, largest, coherent collection of ideas shipped in a game ever, I think. And people will appreciate that. Like, there have been games with a lot of levels in them, right? And I'm sure there have been games, like I think N+ even had a lot of levels. I don't know if it had 1,000. It might have had 1,000. And I'm sure there are video games that had like 5,000, like, I don't know, but there are probably 5,000 crappy levels, right? In this game, it's going to be in the neighborhood of, well, it's 750 right now, but it might be, it might be close to 1,000 in the end, who knows? But it's going to be 1,000 levels, all with really interesting ideas that are arranged in a way that helps you really appreciate the fabric of those ideas and the way that they interlock. And just nothing at that scale will have ever been done before, right? So yeah. It's really going to be like, people will appreciate that, I think, even if they rage a little bit sometimes. Baba, is you had like 200. What made me think of that? Well, the concept is even a little bit different from what I said. What I just said is more like, is kind of like a side effect of the core concept, right? Is it going? Yeah, it's going to be divided by regions that are mostly coherent in terms of what you play in that area, and that you can remember sort of what's in what area for sure. You've done enough Braid in The Witness to get it. Yeah, I mean, if you think about, like, Braid is kind of small and focused. Witness is bigger and sometimes focused, but many more pieces of focused things put together into a bigger cluster. This is like one step bigger than The Witness in terms of how much stuff is in it. Like, if you just take raw puzzle count right now, it's not that much bigger than The Witness yet in terms of raw count, but that count in The Witness counts a lot of things that are just like trivial puzzles almost, right? That take you, 10 seconds. And like the levels in this game on the easy side never quite get that trivial. And on the hard side, or on the large size, some of these levels, like some of the levels are just 8 hours of gameplay by themselves. And not because you're stuck, but because there's 8 hours of things to do in that level. Like, it's nuts, dude. So that's what we're working on. Did I set out wanting this game to be so ambitious? No. No. I also didn't set out to misspell Direcaton. All right. We're still doing the test. How many people do I think will actually finish the game? Depends how many people play the game. Does it take me 8 hours to complete them knowing how to do the puzzle? No. I mean, some of these bigger levels, if I know how to do everything, I might be able to do the level in like 20 minutes, maybe, if I rush through it. But there's a big difference between knowing exactly how to do everything and like kind of knowing everything and not knowing anything at all. Has that 8 hour level been shown on stream? There's more than one, and yes. And don't take the 8 hours too seriously. Like, of course, if you're really good at puzzles, it might be faster and whatever. And I'm not saying that to coherently quantify or make a promise that there are levels that will take you that long. I'm just saying I'm using that as sort of an upper bound. Like in The Witness, if I were to say you're going to spend 8 hours on one of these puzzles in the game, that would just mean that you were mostly stuck and probably frustrated on that puzzle, right? Because there's not really individual puzzles in that game that have like hours of interesting content by themselves. There are areas that have hours of interesting content because of the way that things interrelate or whatever. But if you're doing like one panel in The Witness, it's just not that big by itself. And that's what I'm saying is in this game, there are some things that are that big. And so if you count the number of levels versus the number of puzzles in The Witness, it's not an apples to apples comparison. That's all I was trying to say there. How many people are designing levels? There have been a number of people who contributed. Right now, there's one person who is not me doing the majority of design right now because I'm just doing a lot of programming and stuff. I have designed a lot of levels in the game. We started this game by basing it on level designs of some other designers. And so there were 3 other contributors before even day one. And then we've had a few like interns and other people come by. There are a couple people on stream who contributed levels. I actually don't remember how many. There's at least like 6 or 7 totally random viewers who were logged on one day or in chat when we did level design streams and who get co-credits in those levels for suggesting the idea that makes the levels better. And that's fun. So, it's the levels in this game are more collaborative than past projects were. What is the biggest map? There is a map that's like 250 squares across. I think that's the biggest one. but that's rare. Almost nothing is that big. Like we don't try to make big maps for the sake of having big maps in this game, you know? All right. Now I got to get rid of that spam at some point. 32 levels failed. Did I add a fail? No, that was how many we had, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, great. I'm going to check that in as... What was this? Oh, I didn't revert that. Anyway, okay. So now we had this other problem of, let's start that again. We had this other problem of the stone turning, like snapping, when we started pushing it. Right, so we did this thing. We checkpointed. And shoop. So this thing, it has an orientation 0001, really. And a theta target, which is, that looks like the same rotation. So then what's happening here? So what's it snapping to? Let's find out that. This one is what? It's like some different angle. It's like minus 47. So like we're accumulating some random, this isn't a bug that I thought it was. This is pretty weird actually. What I want to do, I want to reproduce this in a level that has only one rock and stuff so that it's easy to figure out. That's what I want to do. Do I have to personally approve all the level designs? I mean, sort of. Like, I'm the game director who decides ultimately what is appropriate for the game or not. But, like, if you end up having people submit a lot of levels that you reject and say that's not appropriate for the game, a mistake was made earlier in the process. Like, you have people contributing to the game who don't understand the game or who maybe design bad levels, right? You don't want that, right? You want to make sure that that is not a thing. This looks like it might be a radians to degrees problem, if I'm being honest. When are we hoping for release? I don't know. We don't have a release date yet because we have a lot to do still on this game. Is the job of the other level designer only level design? Well, he is doing primarily design, which is a good thing because here's, like I think I'm a good game designer, but honestly, because my brain is in so many places when I work on this, and I'm working on the compiler and all this stuff, sometimes I am not doing my best game design, right? But he's doing really great stuff. And I think part of that is just focus, right? Part of it is he's a really good game designer. Yeah, but saying only level design is a little bit reductive because it's things like rule design, like designing like what are appropriate behaviors for different objects in the game when they interact, or designing like what's an appropriate composition of a set of areas or stuff, right? Does he have Twitter? I don't want to dox people who work on this project on twitch.tv. That's just not, I don't think that that's appropriate. I mean, if he was here and said, hey, follow me at blah, 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 that would be totally cool. But without someone's consent, I do not want to dox them. But it's, the game's coming out along well at this point. I just don't know what else to say. We still have a lot of work to do, but it is coming along well. Do I think this is a radians to degrees problem, or do I think it's something else? I do not actually know. Let me see if we can repro this even back here. So the thing is, like, does it snap? Because if I push it on the north, and then I come down here and push it, like maybe it snaps here, right? Let's see. Yes, it does. Okay. What about here? Does it snap just if it doesn't rotate at all? Yeah, I guess so, right? Maybe not by very much, but it does look like it snaps and then kind of rotates back. So we might just be, if it's a degrees to radians or likewise or inverse problem, we might just be getting lucky there. Okay, how's this? How is this? What if I, oh, we don't want, this is our gameplay state. What if I do it here and I push it on the right? Okay, so this thing rotates. I go there. Is it going to snap? And is it going to snap by a different amount? It snaps by the same amount. And then snaps back, and then it's confused all over the place. Look at that shit. There's some work to do here. What if level designers need to do a rule change implementation or fix? Do they program too? Some of them probably could, but so far historically I have done that because I wrote the whole gameplay system, so I just kind of know. Like anytime you have one person who wrote a whole system, like they just know how to do things a lot faster than even if another person can program. it might take them a while to like figure out how things work and what's really the right way to do things. And so it's often more efficient for me to just do that. But that said, also the gameplay system in this game is a lot more complicated than the system of any other game that I've done, which is another factor. So next game, I would probably encourage designers to program more when they have that ability. It's just on this game, it's like, man, it's a lot. It must be a monster to program. Well, it was hard. It was hard to figure out how the gameplay engine should work, but we've kind of got that. And now all these weird visual glitches that you're seeing are more like, because the gameplay engine's complicated, certain things haven't been ironed out yet, right? This is weird though. Okay, so let me reset actually. Actually, here, let's go back to this one, because I just want to push it north and see some things. Okay, so we're just going to push straight north, and the orientation of this should be straight up 0, right? 0, 0, 0, 1, theta current 0. Okay, so we just wait for this to come into this square. And then I push it. Yeah, it's got like -20 for some reason. So, and the theta target is 0. That's very weird. And so I feel like I could just set a data breakpoint on the rock, and that'll tell us who's doing this. But again, I want to repro it in a simpler level. So if I just go to like here, and I get rid of these things, actually. Okay. So let's even, dang it. Whoops. 48. Come on over here. All right. So, bam. I'm just going to have these. And I guess the same thing is going to happen. Why is my viewpoint so messed up? Whoa, okay, hold on. Let's just get a vanilla lily pad. I don't want one with weird gameplay state in it. So there we go. Okay, let's get a vanilla rock as well. That had some weird spinny state. So let me see if it happens with the rock on the lily to start, or if I have to push it. This is going to be hard to see because it's behind her, but. So just pushing it, it hoses. Okay. That's not what I want. Look at that. It's a massive, massive rotation. Oh, we had a lot of problems with two moving objects trying to move into the same square. In fact, one of the bugs that I still have to fix is two objects moving into the same square. But, yeah. The transaction system is well designed, yes. However, there's apparently a bug somewhere. But we have repro cases for that. So I'm going to work on that either later tonight or tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow at this point. Yeah, the thing that makes this game complicated is there are turn-based rules and there are real-time things. And doing both of those at once is like, it's rough. It is rough, but we figured it out. The rock's orientation is supposed to be unaffected by the push. Not exactly, but it's supposed to start rotating when I push it. So it's supposed to rotate a total of 90 degrees as it goes into the next square. But, you know, like, it's supposed to start rotating smoothly. It's not supposed to do that. I kind of wish I had a placeholder rock that just had arrows in the 4 cardinal directions so I could see how jacked up it was. How do you keep track of your bugs over time? I mostly don't. Like at the end of development, we make bug lists, but like you should just fix your bugs. You don't have to track your bugs for that long if you just fix them, right? Then you don't have them anymore. Anyway, okay. So here's what I want to do. I want to make a debug build, run it, set a breakpoint when the rock moves, and then set a data breakpoint on its orientation, I guess. Let's actually, we're going to have to compile again in a second. Okay, I could do one here. Why do we have animation graph on rock? Okay, anyway, I can set a breakpoint there. There's only one rock. So actually we don't have to recompile. And we'll do this. God, this is so slow. Just start the program. Dear Bill Microsoft, please. Oh. Let me set this up. So it goes here, please. Okay. Okay, so we're going to set our breakpoint here. And we should only have one. So if I go E entity ID, whoops, undoable data. Oh, entity. Okay, so it's 513800672 every time. Okay, great. So the theta current. Oh, come on. All right. So it's 0. I can set a data breakpoint, and as long as we're not spamming zeros into here, 1DCA03E52A8, 1DCA03E52A8. Okay. So when I push this, then we should see that breakpoint hit. Boom. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how to program. All right. So we are doing some things that make assumptions. Dist. Dist is a weird number. Okay. So we are taking a distance that is 2D between the visual positions, and we're not actually projecting it. We're not actually projecting it. Yeah, this is maybe... This is certainly not the best thing to do. Let's see what the theta at start is. 0, yeah. So our dist should be close to 0.5, and it isn't. And the reason why is because we're not only taking the distance along the direction of the push, but we're taking the orthogonal distance as well. So really what we want to do is take the delta between these and then like dot product that with the move direction. So like we should have in here like we have single move info, right? So single move info will have a delta, right? That's 100 because we're pushing. I guess this is along the x-axis. It's just the camera is rotated. So what? Yeah, I guess. Or we're fighting, and this is the Lily move. Hold on. Yeah, this is a support move, which okay, I didn't consider this at all. You can be simultaneously in a support move and in an active move. All right. if you're in the support move, we just shouldn't fucking do anything. All right, so we have 2 problems to fix, which is good because that'll probably fix more things around the game. All right, so let's do this. Line 324. A rock can be simultaneously in a support move or in and in an active move. Skip turning is only about the active moves, so ignore support moves here. Exclamation point. Okay. If this is equal to, if it's teleport, do something. Actually, we'll put supports first. So if it's teleport and if it's anything else. Okay. So here we have a function called wrapped delta that we're going to use. So we're going to go visual delta is going to be wrapped delta because we have to worry about wrapping maps, which is why we're passing the proximity grid, because we want to know if that's wrapping. So we're going to do this. We're going to say dist is dot product visual delta unit vector of single move info dot delta. What are all the moves types? Stationary, falling, oh geez, all of these. Elevator, I don't even think that's possible, but pre-falling. Transmute. Actually, you know what? This is going to be the default, is going to be down here. Do nothing, because that's most of them. And then, so things that we want this are pushed. Maybe pulled. Maybe charmed, I guess. And linear interpolation. And that's it. That's it. Okay. So we get the visual delta, we take the dist, which is the dot product of that. Probably messed that up. Wanted vector 3. Okay, so we can get rid of the xy's here, because we're going to do that with the dotting. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Hey! Except it didn't fucking rotate at all. Now I broke it. Okay, hold on. Why? It's linear interpolation. All right. We will now put a breakpoint here and figure out what did I goof about the thing. See, it should be rotating already. It is not. All right, so when we get here, what move type? Pushed. Visual delta, dist, minus 0.49. Oh, because I put these in the wrong order. And we're clamping the distance at 0. So it, like the quote distance unquote. So it's always less than 0, and so we never have a thing. Okay. Okay. Now let's try that again. Okay, so it's still got the weird back and forth wiggle. But you know what? That's better than it was. Sorta. I don't love that, but we're fixing things one thing at a time. I don't know why we have so much wiggle. Oh, wait, did that pop? No. Oh, we didn't get rid of that splash when we did the undo. So it's like the tilt is popping a little bit, but we're going to leave that till later because that's like a little bit second order. I'm much more worried about this slop up here. So like, it's like staying. It's like when I push it early, it's going completely vertically when in fact we could aim it at the middle of the square and then it wouldn't have to compensate as much later, right? So back here, when I push it off, see how it's kind of going straight up? It honestly should be going toward the middle of the square so that by the time it gets there, it's in the middle and it doesn't have to do that. There, it was doing some kind of correction and then it overcorrected for some reason and reverted back. So like there's several things happening here that we need to deal with. So this is showing the world positions, not the All right. All right, let's do the next step. We do the next step. We're gonna go, I think, back to, we're gonna do a breakpoint just here again, but we're gonna look for something different. We're gonna say why why are you aiming in a weird place? All right, so single move info, start position is weird, okay. Visual, where's the visual stuff? That's in single, actually. That's not in the move info. Single. Visual start 6.1. Visual end 6.1. I don't like that visual end. I do not like that visual end. So this visual error is saying like, hey, we're this far off. And then I think this is not really getting corrected over time in the way that it's meant to. And then it bleeds out at the end or something. Let's see. Okay, so where do we set the visual end? Okay. Add move. Let's see how this happens. So okay, we're just going to put a no check in there. I'm going to build this. I'm going to find that. So we're just going to set this breakpoint when we decide to do the push. And hopefully it's not that hard to hit it on the right move, because this rock is kind of constantly moving because it's on a freaking lily pad. But we're going to wait. We're going to wait till it crosses over. Here we go. We're going to set a breakpoint here, and then we're going to push it. Now we're here, and we're just going to see. So the move info is target, start position and target. Okay. So these right now, okay, we get this visual error, which is vpos current. And then the visual start is, I think, just copied from the physical start. That's why it's on integer coordinates. Yeah. Okay, so at some point these get adjusted, I guess. I kind of don't know why these are being used in this way. Okay. Because this visual start is a lie right now. So the question is, does it get changed? Okay, well. So now we're here. Okay, well this still has integer visual starts. So now I'm definitely confused. Hold on. Oh, this is for this some other move? That's visual support. This is for pushed. Okay. Visual delta is wrapped delta. Huh. So this is really... Okay. I think what's happening is we don't really use visual start and visual end as non-integer coordinates, I guess. But what they are is for dealing with wrapping, I think. I don't totally remember because this has changed several times. But I think what happens is we computed that visual error and it's supposed to go down over time, but it isn't. So if I go, like we're supposed to be interpolating this to 0. And, well, that's for the support move. So let's put this down here, right? So this is minus 4.0. It is not decreasing. At all. By even though time is moving slow, so you wouldn't expect it to decrease by much, but it is not changing at all, which means that since I originally wrote this code, I changed some things and visual error does not tick down, at least in this case. Now, I don't feel like in this case visual error is the right thing anyway. I feel like in this case, you should just push it and it goes to that square, except I guess that would mean that we would only be able to even out the error over one square, whereas I guess this way, So I think what's happening, the reason it wobbles all over the place is we don't reset the visual error. And then when we start the next move, we go, hey, wait, this is way off. But we don't, either we do add this visual, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to think about. Let us look at the visual error related code to fill in. Because this just might not be the right way to do this. Okay, decrease visual error. We just don't do that during all these other things. Why not? I don't know. Okay, so we literally just reduce this number. And then how is this used? We add it manually to these things. And then in this movement visuals file, we have like update push position and stuff. This doesn't use frickin' visual error at all. I think we want to add this, except that can't be right because it's in the right position in terms of the x coordinate right now. So if I add an extra error, that's going to push it out of the right position. So like, what is total delta? Oh, it's this. Blah. Blah. But that's what we're doing. We're saying visual start plus visual error. Why are we not doing that here? Because it's supported by, okay, hold on. This is complicated by the fact that when you're supported by something, ugh, this might be something I have to look at tomorrow when I'm fresh. When you're supported by something, your coordinates also get changed every frame by the thing you're riding on. And I forget how that happens. I don't know. Let me just see what happens. Let me just experiment with putting one of these in here. I feel like we're going to want to put that everywhere to be correct, but I apparently decided also at some point not to do that. So I'm not sure why. No discernible difference. Oh, because this is not a pushed, right? This is a linear interpolation file. Let's see. Maybe it's a pushed. Yeah, it's a pushed move. So that decrease visual error should have been running. So like something is happening there. So when I run this problem only happens with rocks that are on lilies. It's probably with rocks being carried by anything. But lilies are the most common that, you know, it's a very common thing in this game for a rock to be on a moving lily pad. So as soon as I push this, the rock gets pushed, it gets switched to visual support. Now that's also a thing that's kind of bad, because I bet visual support is doing decrease error as well. Maybe. Anyway, so we have a visual support active on the rock, and we have a pushed active. Pushed active. Decrease visual error. Is going to get taken out for now. So visual support doesn't do anything. Hold on. I'm looking for the thing that does dang it, there's like a there's like some movement accumulator. Aha. This stuff. Before this tick, delta this tick. Okay. Delta this tick. And for all the supporter moves, we do some stuff here where we say, okay, how much has the supporter moved this tick? And then we add that delta. But I guess this is not for visual support. I don't know, man. I feel like, broadly speaking, instead of having this like visual error value that we compute and like bleed down the way that's being done, I sort of think what we should do is have well, so the problem with the visual error concept is that it doesn't know about multiple moves happening at once, and it's always going to get confused by that. Whereas what we want is something that just snaps you to the correct lines, like regardless of how much is happening. Like if there's more than one, it could count all the active moves that are on you. If there's more than one, we just don't do anything right now because there's a lot happening, right? Well, no, like if there's more than one, that's not like yeah, okay. We could do something like this. What happens to the game if I just, for now, get rid of this visual error? What if I want to, what have I been editing? Oh, yeah. Decrease visual error. What if I just say, we're just going to do this. We're going to turn it off by setting it to 0 all the time. And we're going to see if that makes the game bad. There's an angle between the axis of your left hand and the line made by keys R, F, V. Well, okay. You should not be doing this with your hand. That is how to wreck your hands. You do, like, you want to make vertically, you want to make sure your hand is like this, which allows it to articulate more. And then you sort of reach with your finger to go to those keys. You don't do this. Because if your wrist is like this and you're typing, that is horrible. Don't do that. So you want your wrist to be mostly straight most of the time. And you want to move with your fingers or your arm. Okay. So, how bad is this? We're just going to play the game for a little bit and see. I mean, this is still sort of kind of bad. This is worse than I expected still. It's like actually, it's got more snaps to it. I don't understand. Probably because there's visual errors that last for a frame. So like really what I want to do is this whole visual error thing. We're just always going to set it to 0 everywhere. Is there a visual error here? No. Anywhere else? It's just in that file. Let's just see. It might still be bad even after that. Okay. I think it's still snapping for like 1 frame. Well, one thing at a time. What about if I try to fix this part? That part. Like WTF is going on there. See, that part is like we still have visual support on the stone. We probably shouldn't in that case. Anyway. No unreachable code detected error. Yeah, people who think that's a good idea are loony. They are loony. They don't understand programming. So here, as soon as I push this, okay, so we don't see that here. That is purely like it's lifted. So that must be the stone skipping code. Oh, also freaking out about the support move. That's what's happening there. Is that in simulate? So we need to ignore supports. Although it says ignore support is true. Okay, are we? Let's make sure we're in debug build here. So we're going to break here because I think it's this part, this blend skipping. Ugh, having the word, oh, I don't remember what I did here. Saying blend, I don't like that. I don't like the word blend right there. What have I done? What have I done? All right, so is it like worse the earlier that I push it? Like, hold on. I didn't get to see that. So why, what is going on here? Okay, so this is if we're in if we're a rock and we're not flipping. Okay, that's 0. That's 0, great. Skip height T is 0.9. What? Oh, it's doing this fucking thing again. Same mistake. Same mistake. Guys. How do you reteach your wrist not to bend? Well, you can get wrist braces to wear. It's something that could change based on the height of your desk or using a different keyboard or whatever. It might just change these things subtly enough to cause a problem. So sometimes when I do a lot of pull-ups, it's just easier for me to get a little bit of inflammation. If I'm sick, right? Like if my body's fighting off a virus or something, I have a little bit of inflammation and it just makes it easier to get aggravated. Just realized that file's only 1,600 lines. Yeah, but that doesn't mean what you think it means. Okay. Okay. I'm going to make I'm going to do this. And same here. We dot the visual delta with the unit vector. All right. Let's see what happens here. Well, now it looks like the height isn't discontinuous, but the tilt is discontinuous. Probably for the same reason. So we have these hefts. Dude, there's so many bugs in this stuff, but that's fine because we haven't ever done this making things look good for things that are carried on other things. So it's expected that there's a bunch of problems like this. And we're working through them. We're working through them. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever had full-on carpal tunnel. I have definitely in the past had things where things get inflamed and kind of, not exactly painful, but like aggravated feeling like up through here. But I feel like that's a different thing. I don't know. And then I just give those a break for a few days and it's fine. I think I have relatively big bones and big nerve channels or whatever. Okay, so we have hefts. Update hefts. Same thing. It's the same. It's the same problem. Of course, I can't use the same variable names because this says like rock and stuff. So this is going to be e.visualPosition. And so I really would rather know what the progress is through the move, like as a fraction. So that might be a thing that we do instead. That's why I'm tagging these, because I think I want to replace these later with something fundamentally more robust. But in the meantime, we are doing this. Dist is dot product, blah, blah, blah. We're going to clamp that. Okay, so dist, so gonna get rid of this. Okay. Now we try. Learn to enjoy the bug hunt. Yeah, it's kind of like the MIT mystery hunt, but a lot less fun. All right. So, hey, I swear there's still a little bit of wiggle there, but so much better. Now we just have all this crap right there, which I'll deal with a different time. How do you deal with frustration when working on a really painful bug? Part of it is, yeah, we're working through them, but part of it is, look, I've just been around a long time, okay? And I have never in my life actually been defeated by a bug. There have been bugs that were hard. There have been a couple times in my career when I was doing what was essentially a research project that ended up too hard. And there were one of two of those where you could say I was defeated, but that was because of like trying to do a contract on a very tight time frame or whatever. But when it comes to scenarios like this, when it's like it's just trying to figure out a bug, like I have never not figured out a bug ever. And earlier in my career, it took longer. Now it's usually very fast. Now, if I'm looking for a bug and I'm actually paying attention and doing high quality work, it is very rare for a bug to take 4 hours, like half a workday, right? Very rare. Extremely rare for a bug to take more than 1 day. Like that probably happens once a year at most, probably less than once a year. And so I know these things. And so when I sit down, I'm just like, this bug it's gonna get solved because I've done it so many times. So many times. Never had a bug that was deep in proprietary GPU driver code. Oh, I've had that. But we also figure out workarounds for those, or we just say we don't support those graphics cards because we can't do anything about it. So then the other thing to get demoralized by is just how many bugs there are, right? But like, again, I've been through it multiple times. I know that I just keep hitting them and they go away and eventually there's very few, right? And I've gotten like, because I've had my constructive brain turned on while I do all these things, I note when bugs happen, what kind of code they came from and why was that code written in a way that made a lot of bugs, and can we make fewer bugs in the future? And so there's a progress aspect to it. There's like, oh, I'm not just fixing bugs, but I'm gathering data that will make my future programming better, right? So these are all ways to do it. Hardest bugs for you were running up against a bug in the OS level APIs. Yeah, stuff like that can be annoying. Like if it's built into the operating system or into something super proprietary where you can't even step into it, like that happens in Windows. Like you call some Windows function and it just errors in there somewhere and you can't step into it and it doesn't give you enough information, right? Those are the hardest bugs, but notice those aren't hard for any legit reason. They're not hard for like a computer science reason. They're just hard because we did things in a way that kind of sucks. Like we set things up so that you're calling into a black box that fails and you have no information about the failure. That's fixable on a bigger scale. If we just decide to stop doing crap like that, we can save a tremendous amount of time of a tremendous amount of programmers, right? So we should just stop doing that. Any error in all of programming can be identified by binary search. That is true. Very powerful technique. Either binary searching through your code or binary searching through the values that you pass to another function. Sometimes it could be a high dimensional binary search, which can again be hard, right? But yeah, no, everything is solvable. Like you just have to have faith that computers are understandable. And things may be insane right now, but in principle, everything is analyzable and understandable and can be made correct. And if you remember that, it's really helpful. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is clean out my no check-ins on that visual error stuff because that didn't help. And I'm going to check in the improvements that we made, and then, you know, I'm going to work on more of this later on. But it's better. We're starting to narrow it down. So next is just that wobble and snap that happens later. Let's go to some. Let's go to some levels like this and make sure we didn't mess up nothing here. I'm running like a very unoptimized debug build, so the frame rate is kind of choppy. Oh. I don't like how much we're kicking people back to the over. I don't think that's... All right. Oh, this guy doesn't even heft the rocks, so... Come on, debug build. Okay. Let's do a final Benny on the... Oh, let's get rid of the no check-ins. The no chickens. All right, let's make a release build. We'll Benny test it, and we'll call it Miller time. The laggy graphics are still 20 times faster than what? They're more than 20 times faster than web page renders if you account for how much work is being done. Like, we're 20 times the frame rate of a web page render, and we're doing a lot more work than the web page render. So, GG's. Is this going to have RTX support? Probably not. That's a gimmick. It's a dumb gimmick. Sorry. I mean, I like NVIDIA's graphics cards. I think they're great. They're very powerful, but I think developers should use that power. How should I say it? Like, in a way that's like integrated with their engine, such that like as the kind of thing that they already do, but more, right? I don't think this like pasting some ray tracing on top is a very good idea. It has a little bit of novelty right now, which is why it seems cool, but it messes up your scenes pretty bad. So you don't really want to do it unless you do really smart ray tracing that is in line with the way the rest of your engine works, right? Which is different from like pasting a thing on top, right? That's what I mean. This is now the Charlie Chaplin test because it's silent. What about removing the idea of light maps to help reduce dev cost time? Can you actually get good enough lighting out of RTX to do what your light maps do? For very complex scenes. You saw fail. Yeah, we expect 32 fails. Deal with it. Do levels have only one solution? Depends on the level. And depends on what you mean by only one solution, right? Do I think game graphics will move towards full ray tracing eventually? I think it is likely that we will eventually always ray trace. Because there's a lot of stupid shit about the way we do rendering right now that's annoying, that is problems you do not have in a ray traced world. The problem is just, right now, for equivalent amounts of GPU time, it's better to do all the stupid shit in terms of final scene quality than it is to do the ray tracing. But I think that'll probably change eventually. It might already not be true. Like what we might have is a historical path dependency where, because we have all these game engines that for 2 decades have been doing all the stupid shit, that we invested so much in that and haven't invested equivalently in the ray tracing thing. I don't know. Like it might be that if we put an equivalent amount of effort into ray tracing that it would be comparably good. It's unclear. How's the TS12? I have not actually used the TS12 yet. It's just sitting in my closet. So right now I have the satisfaction of owning the TS12. I haven't even got ammo for it yet. I've just been too busy doing other stuff. On the bright side, I think it'll be a lot easier to get ammo for the TS12 than it will be to get 9mm and stuff. Unless the shortages have chilled out, but I don't think they have. It's a shotgun. It's an awesome shotgun, not just a shotgun. $32 fails. We're good. We are good. Okay, let's not check this way. This is a revert. Okay. Cool. Cool. Guns are ray tracers. I mean, they're more like parabola tracers, but yeah. They're ray tracers in parabolic space. Hope Biden doesn't take away my TS12. Well, what would be a sane approach to get rid of multiple components usually involved in a web application? Today, the bare minimum people do is usually Docker container, Nginx web server, the backend script, the database, the client-side code. If the goal is to still have a web application that works in a browser, which parts can be eliminated and how? Okay, so here's what I would say. There are two things that you kind of need because it's inherently part of the architecture that you're running. And one is you need client-side code, and two is you need server-side code, right? Because that's just what's happening. The web is a communication from computer to computer. So that's what you need. So when it comes to this other stuff like Docker container, I mean, that's just because we failed at making operating systems. Let's fix that problem, right? Nginx web server, I mean, like if you're actually serving pages, something like that makes sense. But if you're actually like running an application, why is that a web server? Like, I don't understand that. Database, well, again, we have this like failure mode where the database is always like a separate process running somewhere that you have to separately start and administer. I mean, you should have the option of running it that way, but like, why isn't it by... Okay, so way back in the day, there was this database called Berkeley DB that is not that good by modern standards, right? But like, you just ran your program and your program could write and read from the database. It didn't have to like open a socket to a database server. It was just like, it could do it because it's just a fucking file and you can just use it, right? So like, people gave that up. They gave up that simplicity by default for something where you have to administer a completely separate component, which is ass, right? If you need that, right? If you need a thing that needs to be able to run in triplicate on totally separate servers that receives, input from like 37 different feeder servers, then you should have the ability to set that up, but that shouldn't be the default because almost nobody needs that, right? Computers are so fast that almost everybody's web needs are servable by one server if it were running actually at speed. Nginx is a low-level HTTP processing server. It's not related to how messed up the web is. Sure it is. Yes, it is. There are databases like that, like RocksDB. I'm sure there are, but just all I know is when I had to set up my frickin' WordPress site, now I've got like my SQL frickin' like it's just garbage. What did I underestimate the most when building my compiler? How awesome the language was going to be. Your understanding is the database is used because they help with guaranteeing transactions. But that has nothing to do with whether the database is separate to your program or not. Absolutely nothing to do with it. Am I going to write that? Guys, these things take time. Fucking, I wish people would stop bothering me about everything. Like, I'm working on things. I'm working on so many things. They'll be done when they're done. Bothering me about them isn't going to make them go faster. I really have a lot of work to do. All the things are happening. They're just happening in their own time, in priority order. So yes, compiler book is happening. It's just happening slowly. Do not expect it for a couple years. Like, it's just writing a good compiler book takes a lot of effort, and I want it to reflect the experience from writing the current compiler, and that includes portions of the current compiler that haven't been written yet, like the instruction, the real like register allocator, for example. Just don't retire in my 10th game. I'm not Quentin Tarantino. If I get to 10 games, that'll be great. Though it takes a long time to do these things. Oh my God. I just said don't bother me about these things, and somebody bothered me about one of these things. Please stop. It's the worst possible thing that you can do to me psychologically, and it'll make me stop streaming because, like, fuck, I have a lot of work to do. We're getting it done, but like, reminding me of how much work there is to do, it just makes me tired. Please don't. All right. Please don't. Is the plan to remove LLVM entirely eventually? Probably. I used to say that the plan was to keep it around forever just as an optional component for targeting new architectures, but the cost of keeping it around is very high. It's really annoying to try to deal with, and so we might just get rid of it eventually. We'll see. But our own backend has to be better than it currently is in order to do that. We don't optimize code yet. So you're actually going to bother writing x86 code gen? I mean, we have code gen right now. It's just not optimizing. It will be optimizing pretty soon. Well, for some value of pretty soon. But you get free C optimization with LLVM. Why do I care about C optimization? Was the unannounced secret project from a few months ago the book? I don't think so. I don't remember what you mean by that. The unannounced secret project from a few months ago. If you mean something compiler related, I have some idea what that means, and no, it's probably not the book. There's an unannounced secret compiler feature that we have. It's still in development, still unannounced. said that I was working on some secret project. I don't know what that means. It is true that most web applications can easily serve 1 million visits a day. Wait, what? How do you get such a low number as 1 million visits a day? How many? Hold on. Let's run. Okay. Right. 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day. All right. So there's 86,400 seconds in a day, right? So 1 million divided by 86,400 is 11 pages a second. How many cores do you have? Do you have 12 cores? Then you're serving 1 page per second per core. If you're on an AMD Threadripper with 16 cores, right, then it takes you 1.4 seconds to serve a page if you're doing 1 million a day. You should be able to beat that by 2 orders of magnitude approximately. You should be able to get 50 to 100 million pages a day. Yeah. Now there is the question of like, okay, those aren't evenly distributed throughout the day or whatever. So whatever. But so you could instead draw the constraint as, okay, during whatever the peak time is, we should be serving some number of pages per second per core, right? Like 100 pages per second per core is 10 milliseconds per page, which is very slow, right? Again, video game frames do an incredible amount of computation in, 17 milliseconds typically now for a 60 FPS game. So you should be able to serve a frickin' page in 10, right? If you can't, things are wrong. So if you've got 16 cores, you should be able to serve something like 1,600 pages per second at peak. And then, okay, how long does your peak period last and so forth? Oh, so you're saying 1 million by scripting languages, it's obvious you, okay, so you're quoting that 1 million as like, that's a thing that people commonly hit today with slow setups. I believe that. Yeah. It's obviously, yeah. So I believe that statement. Yes. You can easily, whatever throughput numbers people quote today with current web architectures on whatever hardware, yes, you should be able to do 1 or 2 orders of magnitude faster than that. Probably 2. That is correct, yeah. With web things, the problem usually is not about computation time, but data transfer time. That's horse shit. Sorry. That's horse shit, because how, like, what is your ping time between wherever you're getting the data from and wherever you're sending it to? And how much data is it? It's not that much. Do you mean like reading records from a database server in order to populate a page, or do you mean actually sending the page to the people? Like, what do you mean by data transfer time? I agree that this thing that you're saying about data transfer time is the excuse that web people always give for why their page takes 300 milliseconds and up. But I don't think it's a good excuse. Sending requests to downstream data stores, waiting for their response. It's not just ping there. Why are you waiting a long time for their response? Why are those so slow? What is the excuse for those being so slow? Also, why are you talking to so many things? Right? Like, why don't you just talk to one thing? Like, you can't like imagine I have some program that does all the things required to respond to your page. And it's really slow, but I don't want to take the blame for it being slow. So I'm going to factor the slow part of the program out into this thing called like data query server, and I'm going to talk to that over the network. Now it's not my fault because I send my message to the data query server and it takes 700 milliseconds to come back. Oh, I can't do anything now. It's in this other server. So my part's fast. No, that's that's bullshit. You just put the slow part somewhere else. Just fix the slow part. Like, it's so obvious that these things are silly. The problem is that JS bundles for client-side rendering have grown to be measured in megabytes. Okay, how long does it take a standard city user's home computer to download 1 megabyte? Do you know? I have a standard Comcast connection. Xfinity. Start. Oh, this is I got scammed. Go. This is while I'm streaming, by the way. Wow. 900 megabits per second. That's 100 megabytes per second. So you should be able to send me your 1 megabyte page in 1/100th of a fucking second. All right. 1/100th of a second for that data transfer. And I've had this is just the internet connection that I bought 4 years ago and I haven't even paid attention to. I'm sure I could get a better one. How does one get rich today? Uh, if your priority, the people whose main priority is being rich are kind of sleazeballs. Don't do that. Your priority should be to build something interesting and create value. And if you get rich as a side effect, then that's great. Like, okay, so not everybody has a connection that's as fast as the one that I have here. I agree with that. But like, why do web pages take so long for me to load? You can't tell me it's because downloading 1 MB takes a long time. I just don't believe you. I just don't believe you, right? TCP slow start is what makes download slow. Have you measured it? Using a database versus not using it is somewhat the same problem as using a game engine versus writing your own from scratch. But you have, okay, look, there's no excuse because you have an entire industry based around using these things, an incredible amount of money. Think about all these freaking startups with many billions of dollars valuations, right? You've got this entire economy based around making websites, and it still sucks this bad. Like, there's just no excuse. Database gives lots of tools to quickly configure data consistency with foreign keys, checks, etc. I mean, look, a database is basically A, concurrent programming, plus B, data validation and integrity, like consistency maintenance, right? Honestly, the data consistency, like what happens, you know, how do you make sure it doesn't get corrupted by various things that can happen is the harder part. The concurrency part is basically the same as what any performance programmer does today anyway, just in their own program. Like, you do all this concurrent stuff. Congratulations, right? So I don't actually think it's that scary to program a database of your own. That said, again, you shouldn't need to do that. There just shouldn't be an excuse for this, right? Implementing a new database is not that hard. I would believe that it's a lot of work if you, well, okay, you have to keep two things in mind. So with databases, it's just like game engines or anything else, right? The people who program databases professionally are making those databases for a wide variety of people who have a wide variety of use cases. They have to do a great deal of work to cover all those use cases robustly, right? If you're making your own, you only care about what you're doing, and that's way, way, way easier. That's at least an order of magnitude less work, just like programming your own game engine is at least an order of magnitude less work than writing Unity or Unreal or something, right? Probably 2 at this point. So there's that. But again, you still shouldn't have to. I mean, you should be in a position where the standard database that you use is like 2 orders of magnitude faster than what everyone uses. And then if you want to get 3 orders of magnitude faster, you roll your own. But that's not where we're at, and I don't know why. A good example of cases when net bandwidth is a problem, not code itself, is training for neural nets on GPU when you have a lot of them in some kind of topology. I mean, sure, I would believe that because those networks get big, but that has nothing to do with why it takes so long to load my web page of almost any website that I go to. It's not exactly the idea of using a database that's bad. It's the databases themselves are badly implemented. Well, it's kind of both. Databases are way overused, and the databases that are being used are slow. There's both things are happening. I'm just going to ban people from now on who make excuses for how the web is. I'm just tired of it. I'm just not going to have these arguments. I hate it. If you write stupid shit at me about how the web is good, I'm just going to ban you from the channel. Sorry. I just can't do it anymore. You can go say that on the web booster. Everybody's happy about the web channel. I really can't do it anymore. Because you guys are ruining computers. Like, I just, ugh. All right, everybody. I am going to go to bed now. We did a good job programming today. We have more to do, of course, but things are nice. Things are nice. All right, thank you, everybody, and we'll do some more programming streams, I think. So, see you later on. Goodbye. Have a good night.